what most appraisers at the end of the day, what they need is an app that's dedicated to the device, that's installed locally, that does not require a constant internet connection, that's stable.
Originating from deep inside the Rocky Mountains, transported through the power of the internet, and arriving inside your tiny earbuds. It's the Appraiser Coach Podcast, helping appraisers increase their efficiency, quality, and make more money. Here's the guy who makes it his life's mission to create value for real estate appraisers nationwide. Your host and the Appraiser Coach, Dustin Harris.
Hey, welcome to the program, everybody. Dustin Harris hanging out in the podcast chair, talking about appraisals, talking about the appraisal business, talking about everything to do with the valuation side of things. Thanks for joining me. I appreciate you being on board. We're going to pause here and, of course, remind you that we are sponsored by three great companies, one of them being DataMaster. Of course, DataMaster allows me to save, approximately 45 minutes per report. It'll do the same for you. Check them out. Go to datamasterusa.com. Again, it's datamasterusa.com. We are sponsored, of course, by OREP Insurance. OREP is the insurance that I use for my E&O. Folks, if you don't think about E&O, you should. Don't just continue to renew with the same company you've been with forever. Check out OREP and why they are different. It's orep.org. That's OREP.org. And of course, we're sponsored by Total. Alamode is the software that I've been using for over 20 years, 24 years to be exact. My father, of course, been using it longer than that, and they've been around for over 3 decades, helping appraisers to do more, to be more efficient, to be more effective at what you do. Check them out you can get on the internet and type in alamode.com or pick up the phone and talk to a real person at 800-ALAMODE. And speaking of a real person, we're going to be talking Alamode today, and a good friend of mine, Mr. Joel Baker, is back on the program. Welcome back, Joel.
Dustin, glad to be here. Thank you, sir.
It is always glad to have you on. I appreciate you reaching out, and you have an open seat here anytime, right?
I appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, cool. Well, listen, you and I haven't run into each other lately. In person, we talk every once in a while, but are you still doing some training and traveling around the country?
I am. I have been a couple times this last month. Went to the, did a little mobile training the day before, the Appraisal Summit in Las Vegas, and then spoke there too a little bit as well. And then just last week, I was in Raleigh, North Carolina with NCPAC there.
Mm-hmm.
Great group of folks, and did some more mobile training. Obviously, with the being part of CoreLogic at this point, they do have a training wing, the Columbia Institute. And so I know appraisers are used to, when we do the road shows and all that kind of stuff. I'm still doing some of that. And it's the same, it's me and the same materials and the same class style that you're used to. But I'm doing that through the Columbia Institute. And I just submitted to them what my proposed schedule for 2020 is. And so hopefully by the time this airs, any attendee or somebody wants to be an attendee, any of your listeners can visit our website or go to the columbiainstitute.com and see if we're coming to your area.
Very cool. And the specifics of that particular workshop are going to be what again?
We do. It's going to be different, a little bit different this time. So most of the time it'll be a 2-day thing where the first day we'll cover Total, the desktop software, right, for report writing, working our way from one side to the other of it. And then the second day is we call it the mobile appraiser workflow, which is not just the software, but breaking down the process really and helping appraisers change their workflow. We talk about paperless. We talk about devices and distos and how to measure, practically in the field with those, that sort of thing.
Okay, so I'm going to put you on the spot a little bit, Joel. You know I'm a pretty blunt guy, right?
Absolutely.
I love mobile, but man, you guys, I haven't seen an update for a while. What's going on over there?
Well, we get that. So it has been a while since we've had an update. First of all, you should know that we are working on one. And in fact, we have the new iOS that went to beta today. So obviously by the time you get this aired, The new update will be out.
Good.
So it's been a while. We've got 5 new Titan products that we've released over the last couple of years. And so we've had a lot of development work put into that, and a little bit of development work as well put into preparation for bifurcation, so that if/when any of that really comes to fruition and out of pilot for Value Verify, Fannie Mae's portion of the bifurcation stuff, right, their push, our appraisers will be up and ready to rock with that. So we have been putting a little development in there. But no, if we get this update out for the next Total for Mobile, it'll include a brand new feature that'll help with ADUs. Total for Mobile will be able to distinguish between GLA and other living area, different structures and levels within the structures, and all that kind of stuff. So you can get a little bit more granular with where everything goes. So it's really an update to the rooms feature, if you can imagine.
No, absolutely. So one of the things that I struggle with, I do a lot of ADUs, guest houses, if you will. And it's not very often that I want to include them in a GLA. Every once in a while, if it's under the same roof line, that kind of thing, I might, just depending on the highest best use situation. But a lot of times I've got a separate guest house, some big fancy $1 million property over in Jackson Hole, and it's got a small guest house. And I put living room in that guest house, and guess what? It shows up on the room count on the GLA, and we have to manually go through. You're telling me that's going to be fixed in the new version?
It will be, right? And so the default is obviously going to be that when you draw the structure separately as a different structure, it knows that it's not the primary dwelling unit, and so will automatically not count it as GLA in particular. But it will still count it as other living area. It will show in the calculations grid, and then when you get back, and it shows in the the other places where it gets put in the PDF, when you're done. Okay,
cool. Anything else you can think of on the new mobile? Anything fancy pantsy I need to know about?
Well, right now we're wrapping that up. We got that in testing for this new structure stuff, but I am excited to say that we're working on integrating Titan Drive, which is the backup, the reports.
Okay.
The files from your total. There will be an automatic synchronization there. So the push pull. This is for those of y'all who do who do Total for Mobile. You've got to push pull each time.
Right.
Imagine being in the field and not having to remember. Did I remember to sync that report before I left the office?
Hallelujah!
And
I just had this conversation with my staff just the other day, because they had built we have a 2-step process. So we build the report. We typically put the comps in before I go out, because I like to take pictures while I'm out there. I love the feature that Alamo does with the mapping. But just the other day, somebody built it. They uploaded it to me. I downloaded it to my phone. Somebody else opened it up, put the comps in, didn't re-upload it, and as a consequence, I went out there and I didn't have the updated stuff with the
data loss.
Yeah. So imagine that's going to be fixed.
Imagine a scenario where you try and open a report, either on Total on the desktop or Total for Mobile on your mobile device, and if you have an internet connection, it checks with the cloud and verifies whether you're working with locally the most recent version of the file, and will prompt you immediately to download the newest if you don't, which is kind of cool. Yeah. And it also, I think, and this is for those who have have collaboration issues, or if you have multiple devices, this will actually disconnect the one-to-one pairing scenario that currently is in Total for Mobile.
Hallelujah.
Figured you might like that.
I've got 3 appraisers in my office, and we're constantly dealing with each other's reports, and we don't need to be. So I love it. So you mentioned a word that, I'll be honest with, is kind of a dirty word around our office, Titan. If I had been a part of your marketing team, I maybe would have gone a different direction. But that being said, you were on, of course, several months ago explaining the difference between Titan, because there's Titan this, Titan that, Titan the other. Explain once again, for those who it's been a while since they listened to that episode. You've got a lot of products named Titan. Help me understand.
So I appreciate the question, because there is a little bit of a branding confusion, simply because we have a suite of products. The Titan is really a family of web products, so everything is server-based. It's online. Even if you access it, say, through Total on your desktop, or as you'll see later on with Total for Mobile when we hook that up on your mobile device, it's still all web-based. There's no real installation, right? And which means that it's operating system agnostic, so that you can run it on Mac. You could put, in Opera or Safari or Chrome or Firefox, should you so choose, that sort of thing. But there are, depending on what pieces you need, there are various Titan products within the line. So, I'll just briefly cover those really quickly. The first that we released was 2 years ago. It was called Titan Analytics. Okay. This was when the MC form was still, required all the time. It did your MC form, it did your charts and graphs, and it used an MLS download file to do all of that. So that was Titan Analytics. That was a couple of years ago. Titan Reports is what most appraisers think of when they think of Titan. Titan Reports is sort of like, I say sort of like Total in the cloud. It's the ability to author and deliver a report from the cloud, sign and deliver a report entirely from the cloud, from Chrome or Opera or Safari or whatever, right? However, you've also got files to deal with, your ZAP files, for those that know ZAP files in our software. And for that, we have a product called Titan Drive, which is really a massive upgrade to our Vault, the online backup solution software. So you can think of Titan Drive. I guess initially it would kind of make sense to think of Titan Drive as a replacement for Vault, because it is, but it's really an upgrade, because it's the conduit that connects Titan Reports in the cloud with your files on Total. So as an example, and this is what we've got right now. This is the way it works now. You author a report in Total on your desktop, you hit save and close, and it's immediately uploaded and available to you from any computer using Titan Reports, because of that conduit. For offices, there is Titan Office, which gives you the ability to manage your office, to see your pipeline of money coming in, money coming out, and who's owed what and when, and what you got coming up, and order management and tasks and calendaring and scheduling and all of that stuff. That's Titan Office. And there's another piece of it that's often hidden and we don't really talk about right now. It's Titan Sketch. Titan Sketch is built right now just into Titan. We're going to introduce it into Total, so you'll have the option to use it in Total as well on the desktop. But the idea is that eventually, rather than have a sketching software for your laptop, a sketching software for iOS, and a sketching software for Android, and another one for the cloud, we're just going to have one code base for everything. Makes it so that, first of all, it's easier for us to update and support, but also for appraisers, having just one product, regardless of where you are, it works and looks exactly the same, which is going to be kind of cool. So we've got those out. All those products are out. And right now we are just, as fast as we can, banging integrations in between them. So we get it all working with Total.
So you guys are actually doing something over there? This is good news.
Believe it or not. Yeah, I do. I do. We are trying to build stuff you guys want to use.
Oh, good. I like it. Joel, I often get appraisers approaching me and saying, and when they say Titan, I think they mean Titan Reports. I'm glad you clarified that. But they say, well, Dustin, should I switch over to Titan? If you were me, sell them on switching to Titan. Why would an appraiser want to go that direction?
So for right now, actually, I'm not going to necessarily recommend that an appraiser switch from Total to Titan. Okay. Titan is really a companion piece to the desktop software, to Total. Now, some will. Okay. There's going to be, maybe 10, 15% that may want to switch. But the feature sets are not at parity with each other between the desktop and the cloud yet. And on top of that, just using a web product is never going to be as snappy as using the desktop product, right? You just get a completely different experience. Multi-monitor is ridiculously complex, to do with Chrome, multiple tabs and all that kind of stuff. And so I would just use Titan right now. I talk about Titan as a companion piece. So as a specific example, I was talking with an appraiser who was in class with me in Vegas. And on a break, he didn't have his laptop with him, but I slid my laptop over, and he was able to log into his Titan and change the borrower's name, hyphenate the borrower's name on the 1004 and redeliver to the client from my laptop without having to install anything, which is kind of cool.
It is cool.
Yeah.
I can go to any business center in any hotel that I might be staying at, pull up and utilize the software. So that's good. And I'll be honest with you, Joel, I have not switched over. And I know you just said, it's not necessarily a switch. It's maybe a companion piece, but I've not yet gone that direction because there's so much in the software version that I absolutely love that I'm not seeing yet over in Titan Reports. One that comes up over and over again is the smart adjuster, right? When will we see that in Titan Reports, for example?
That is on the roadmap, actually. And so it's not going to be the next thing we build. We're actually, in fact, the next thing we've built is we call recent reports, but it's really a look into what's on the cloud from within the appraisal desktop. So I said earlier, you author a report and hit save, and it's automatically uploaded. Well, if you right now, and this is the way it is, whether you're using another software or not, you want to log into their cloud and download a file, and you got to save it to the right place, and then you got to go open it and all that. Forget that. There's going to be a next to your folders in the file cabinet, there's going to be at the top one that says Titan Drive, which is going to show you a list of every file that you have opened in the last 30 days on any machine, whether it exists in the cloud or not. You're going to be able to download it immediately. So you'll be able to use Titan Drive for collaboration without ever actually having to log into a browser.
Very cool.
Yeah, and so that's something we're working on right now, and should be out, honestly, by the time this podcast rolls. I'm excited for it.
I love it. We're talking with Joel Baker. He, of course, is with a la mode, talking about some of the things that a la mode is currently working on, things that you can see, and by the time this airs, may be live at this point. So I want to pause here and, of course, remind you that we are sponsored by a la mode. A la mode, of course, is, it's the software I continue to use. Why? I'm telling you, folks, I'm a businessman, right? In the end of the day, I look at my dollars, I look at my time spent, I look at my numbers, and I make decisions accordingly. And a la mode has always been a huge, huge boon to my business. Little things that we've talked about today, the smart adjust, the ability to take and separate the addendum from the grid. Did you know you can look at a side-by-side view of all of the comps and scroll across all of it? You got 12 comps in there. You can see them all on one screen, folks. And at the same time, the adjustments you make on another screen, you can actually type in what you're doing, why you're doing it, and explain so you can, quote unquote, tell the story. Tim Anderson always talks about tell the story, right? These are the types of things that a la mode cares about because they care about you as a business owner and a technician being able to produce the best product possible. Folks, if you are with any other software, take a peek, will you, at a la mode? In fact, pick up the phone and call them, 800 a la mode. Ask them why it is you should switch, and the friendly people over there at a la mode will let you know what it is that you're missing out on. And I promise you, there are a lot that you're missing out on. Check them out. Go to alamode.com or 800 a la mode. Speaking of missing out, folks, are you hand typing your MC form? I know it's not required, as Joel pointed out, it's not required for every client anymore, right? But a lot of them are still requiring. I'd say 75% of my clients still want it. Are you still hand typing the MC form? Are you still hand typing the subject information into the top of the URAR? Are you still hand typing your comps after you choose them? Folks, if you're doing any of those things, please do me a favor. Do yourself a favor. Check out DataMasterUSA.com. Go to DataMasterUSA.com. And whether DataMaster 6 is in your area yet or the original version, if you will, it's still going to save you 30 to 60 minutes per report. Now, folks, if you do the kind of volume that I do in my office, that is huge. Okay, 45 minutes on average per report will be saved when you're using DataMaster. Check them out. Again, it's DataMasterUSA.com. I'm going to give it to you one more time. Write it down. DataMasterUSA.com. Another address you're going to want to write down is OREP Insurance, OREP.org. Now, many of us don't think about our E&O on a year-to-year basis, but I'll tell you when I think about it, right? It's not necessarily when I get a claim. Knock on wood. Don't want that to happen, right? But just the other day, I was looking at my continuing education. And as appraisers, we have to do continuing education typically on a yearly basis, on a cycle, if you will. And sometimes I do it in person, sometimes I do it online, depending on what my travel schedule is. But I'll tell you what's really cool. This year, OREP put out classes that equaled 14 hours of free, okay, do I need to spell that? Okay, we're talking free, folks, education. And this all counted in all 3 states that I'm certified in. So I didn't have to pay a penny for continuing education that not only did I learn something from, but it also counted toward my renewal because I'm an OREP member. Just one thing that OREP insurance users can count on, are the great benefits of OREP insurance. And of course, it's great insurance anyway. It's orep.org. That's OREP.org. And welcome back to the program, everybody. Talking with Joel Baker, my good friend at Alamode. Welcome back, Joel. Appreciate you coming on, man.
Thanks, Dustin. Appreciate being here.
So we've been talking about, we've been talking about a lot of things, but we were, just before the break, we were talking about Titan reports and whether or not that could replace Total. I think your answer was not necessarily. It's more of a companion piece. What about the mobile side of Titan, rather?
Well, the answer there is pretty much a definitive no.
Okay. Well, I'm glad you said that, because I'm afraid you're part of Alamode. You're like, oh yeah, sure, it'd be good for you. And I'm thinking, really? Because I really like the mobile app right now as it is.
And we get that. What appraisers, I should say it this way, what demos really well is when you get some collaborative online web-based type thing that multiple people can work on simultaneously, right? That looks really cool, and it demos really well. But from a practical standpoint, what most appraisers at the end of the day, what they need is an app that's dedicated to the device, that's installed locally, that does not require a constant internet connection, that's stable.
Yep.
Right.
No. I mean, I told you I work rural Wyoming, right? I mean, it's actually, I shouldn't say rare. It's probably 50% of the time that I have a decent connection while I'm on site.
No, I hear you, and that's what we hear from a lot of appraisers. Is just you got to have a dedicated app. It's got to be stable, and it's got to work without an internet connection. And so I don't really think that we're ever going to be able to, to get away from the dedicated mobile app that's
on your phone. Yeah. Okay.
Absolutely.
So just to make sure that the listeners understand what we're talking about, because I get appraisers come to me and saying, okay, well, if Titan is mobile and I can use it on any browser, that means I could use it on a phone or an iPad, right? Well, yeah, I guess technically you could. So can't I just go on site and open up the form, and instead of doing the mobile thing where you're scrolling through different fields, you can actually just pinpoint on the 1004 and start changing things? I mean, technically you can do that, is what you're saying.
Yeah, technically, that's right.
If you've got a good internet connection, you got a big enough screen that you can see, but I mean, really, the mobile app is designed to be mobile.
It is, right? And mobile, the way I look at it is if you're doing an inspection based explicitly on the form, that hasn't made you mobile. That's made you portable. It's taken what you do on the desktop and made that workflow and that thought process portable. And so the way I look at it and the way I teach about it is that appraisers want access to two things. They want access to data, and they want access to process. Depending on what they're doing for the day, what device they have with them, whether they have an internet connection, all the different variables. But that's what mobility is. Mobility is in my mind equated with the word access, and it's access to data, and it's access to workflow. And Total for Mobile gives you both of those in pretty much all the scenarios that you can come out with.
Yeah. I'll delete this later if this isn't okay to talk about, but it's my understanding. One of the things, just to give you an example of what you're talking about, one of the great things is lately with the refi boom, I have hired a driver. And part of that process is I drive through these mountain passes where I'm going to have internet here and I'm going to have it over here. Point A and point B, I've got internet, but all the driving in between, ain't happening, right? I'm in the back wilds of Idaho, Wyoming, in the mountains. There's just no internet connection. So one of the things that I've been doing is Total, because of the license that I have, allows me to be able to have a laptop version. As long as I'm not on the other version at the same time, I can use that laptop version to download from the cloud the report at point A, work on it all the way through the mountains, and then at point B, at that point, I've got it pretty much ready to go, and I can re-upload it to the cloud, and the gals back at the office are good to go. That's one of the things I love about Alamode, is the ability to be mobile and be almost really anywhere I need to be, with or without an internet connection.
Right, and that's exactly right, Dustin. And so just to say it slightly differently, it's got to work when you don't have an internet connection, and in my mind, it's got to automatically sync when you do. It's got to know, and sort of like the way Dropbox or Google Drive work. It's got to know, and so we're gonna build that. We're gonna make that work that way. That's the timeline for us, or the roadmap, I should say, for us to get that in there.
Speaking of roadmap, what else would you like to talk about that we haven't hit on, Joel? Something else that might the listeners might be interested to know that Alamode's working on.
Well, on the roadmap, I mentioned obviously Total for mobile integration. We're going to build some third-party integration tools so that you can use the DataMaster and the Sparks and that sort of thing in conjunction with the web software as well as we can. We're going to put Smart Exchange in the side-by-side grid. Smart Exchange is the peer comparable sharing database. Yep. That is by its nature is cloud-based. But the benefit is even if you're not peer sharing, it's at least going to contain your own comparables database. So that if you're in Titan and you type an address in, it'll say, hey, this is how you used it last time, and plop that into place for you, just like Total does right now.
Yep.
And so it two birds with one stone. It gives you access to the peer database in the field, on whatever device you currently have, but also, if you've ever done a particular property before, just by typing in the address and looking at the photo and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I love that part. That's one of the things I don't think we talked about, but to be able to know what I've done in the past is huge. I don't want to have a UAD error where, I might have called something C3 before, and I'm looking at the pictures now and think, maybe it's a C4. Maybe it is, and maybe, there's nothing wrong with changing that in a report if there's truly new data information available. Oh, sure. But absolutely love it. Absolutely love it. Joel Baker from Alamode and Titan, I guess we could call it. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for giving us an update. Lots of my listeners, of course, are on Alamode, and lots more need to be. Appreciate you joining us today.
Dustin, appreciate the time. Thank you, sir, very much.
Always a pleasure.
Good to see you.
And again, always an open seat here, my friend. Anything new comes your direction, reach out to me, and we'll get you on lickety-split, as they say.
You got it, man.
Thank you, my friend.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you, my friend. You've been joining Joel Baker at Alamode. This has been the Appraiser Coach Podcast. Thanks for joining us, folks, and we will catch you next time.
You've been listening to the Appraiser Coach Podcast with Dustin Harris. If you like what you hear, please give us a 5-star rating and post a short review on iTunes. For more in-depth insider information on how you can make more money as a real estate appraiser, visit theappraisercoach.com and sign up for the All-Star team today. Thanks for joining us. And now, get out there and create some value.